let's go on to our player ratings and start off with Big Vic. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I'm only had to contend with one shot on the day, and he did let it in. I thought it was a bit of poor goalkeeping from Vicario as well to let that in. And apart from that, he didn't really have anything to do for the whole game. So unfortunately, I had to give him a 6.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't really consider he was probably more quite at fault for the goal, especially with how that. Look, I think it was so obvious how the Palace was setting up that free kick that they were going to go goalkeeper side. So he should have been ready for that, and I'm not sure why he wasn't. I think they made it pretty clear that's what they were going to do, and the fact he let it in and took a step to his right is very disappointing. So he does deserve a bit of criticism for that. In my mind, I was thinking about that save he made from Ayew, which was a really brilliant save, but it was actually offside, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But it was a really good one-handed save off Ayew. But other than that, he conceded his only shot actually on target, so maybe didn't quite deserve a 7. But obviously he didn't have that much to do, did he?
No, nothing. Literally nothing apart from the free kick. Moving on to Emerson Royale. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 7. Much better from Emerson, in my opinion, after the Wolves game, which I thought he was really poor. He responded to that and he came out a lot more confident, especially in defence yesterday. I thought that in the first half, he got Romero out of jail massively when Romero was caught out of space. And I thought throughout the game, he just defended spot on. I think he was defensively flawless. It's just like on the ball, progressing the ball up the pitch. I think you know what you're going to get with Emerson, and it's not very good, albeit he did have his hand in the first goal.
Yeah, really improved from Emerson. I thought he was shocking last week against Wolves, 2 weeks ago, against Wolves, where he was constantly giving the ball away and being a real liability. But he definitely sharpened up in this game. He was a lot better in the build-up play, a lot better at linking the play when he was just keeping it simple. Like, we know that's what Emerson is good at, when he just keeps things simple, make sure his passes are finding a teammate and keeps the ball progressing. It was actually, he got forward a few times, wasn't really effective when he got forward, but at least if you make those runs, you just make the opposition think. That's what he did a few times. And as you said, defensively, I thought he had Eze under control. That was really, really positive. And a few times, some of his defensive work did get us on the front foot for some attacks. So much improved from Emerson in this one.
Big Mickey van der Ven up next. Him gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. Again, I thought this guy was absolutely defensively flawless yesterday. A big battle on his hands against Mateta. It was really physical. Both these players going at it, especially in the first half. And I thought Van der Ven came out on top every single time. Every time it looked like Palace could be in behind or could spring an attack on us, he was there to mop up the pieces, as he is pretty much every game. And what a player and what a performance.
And considering in that first half, he was hobbling quite badly, and he had to went down injured, and it looked like maybe his day was going to end early. The fact that he recovered from that and went on to dominate Mateta and not give Palace a sniff was super impressive. Another outstanding display from Mickey van der Ven in that role of just mopping up anything that goes over the top, and that's what makes him such an effective defender in the way we play in the transition, because if ever we do lose the ball and they do have a long ball over the top, you just have that safety blanket of Van der Ven. Just know he's going to mop up anything that goes over the top, and he's so effective of that. I thought he had Mateta in his pocket by and large. And Mateta, can be a very difficult customer, and on occasion he tried his best to kind of get some spare change out of Van der Ven, but nothing was doing. Top display yet again.
Kuti Romero up next. 9s all round for Kuti. Another very good display from Romero, and this centre-back pairing is just growing week on week. I thought both of them just didn't have nothing got past them throughout the whole day, apart from that one slip-up that he did make in the first half, which I mentioned that Emerson was there to mop up for him. I thought it was amazing. He didn't put in those kind of ground duels that we saw time and time again from Romero, but what he did was his aerial duels, and I felt like he was winning the ball back time and time again in the air, which is not maybe something that you associate with Romero to do week in, week out, and it's usually on the floor where he's super aggressive and he keeps winning the ball back. But the way he was getting us up the pitch, the way he found himself in the box to finish off that header as well from the Maddison looping through ball, so yeah, brilliant display.
Yeah, and I thought it was a top display. As you said, I thought Van der Ven had Mateta on lockdown, and I thought it freed up Romero a bit to get forward and try and help out the attacking side of the team. And obviously, he ended up getting the winning goal late in the game, which I'm not sure why. I'm trying to remember why he found himself in that position. Because was it from a corner and he stayed up? I don't remember, or he just found himself there.
I think he was just doing his usual Romero madness.
Because he sometimes does that, doesn't he? He just wanders into the penalty area occasionally, and it's not the first time actually it's paid off, because I remember, I think it was against Brighton a couple of years ago, where he wandered into the penalty area and I think a shot deflected off him and we ended up scoring.
I think we see it at least 2 or 3 times a game. He just ends up in the box for no apparent reason.
Maybe that can be a tactical, when we look at, if we don't have Richarlison available and we're looking to kind of whip, get someone on the end of a cross from a high cross who's looking to win a header, maybe having Romero in the box occasionally will help out with that. And it was a really great header as well. It was a proper striker's finish. It was actually very similar to Darwin Núñez's goal against on the same day against Forest. Yeah, literally carbon copy, and that shows kind of how difficult and how impressive that header was from Cuti Romero. A really well guided, great glancing header into the corner, and I thought defensively he did everything pretty perfectly apart from that one moment. So a really top display, and now the highest scoring centre back in the league at the moment apparently. So
is that right? Has Gabriel not got more goals than him?
Well, apparently he has 4, which I think is probably level with Gabriel. So
I thought Gabriel got his 5th the other week, but maybe I'm wrong.
That's what I read on Twitter. Maybe Twitter's wrong.
Okay.
Maybe it's high scoring for Tottenham, but I don't think, why would that be a thing? So
Gabriel might only be on 4. I might be wrong.
I think one of Gabriel's goals was given an own goal potentially.
So we're getting in through the back door.
Exactly.
But everyone goes on about Gabriel being like, oh, what a goal scoring centre back. He scores so many goals, and no one talks about Romero like that, which is interesting when they're on similar amount of goals.
Remember that goal we scored against Burnley? It's not just headers he scores; he has that quality, to score from range as well.
That was a brilliant goal, yeah. But that was kind of the odd one out, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Destiny Udogie, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought defensively, nothing got past him throughout the day. He was making those lung-busting runs up the pitch, which I like to see. But what kind of frustrated me from Udogie was his passing on the day. I thought it did let him down from time to time, maybe rushing it, or maybe even sometimes taking a bit too far, a bit hesitant in the past. But apart from that, I thought he put in a good display.
Yeah, it was decent. Definitely not his best. We know that for sure. He's definitely put in better displays, Destiny. But I thought there was a few times where he was committing the Palace players with his lung-bursting runs, and that was pretty decent. But for some reason, he doesn't get there's occasions where he gets the ball forward and he doesn't get the ball to Werner quick enough, and then all of a sudden the chance is gone for him to get isolated with his fullback. It's definitely something that I've noticed with Udogie, and it's something that he needs to probably work on, I would say. But I thought another good display from him yesterday, pretty consistent yet again. Not his best, but he was decent.
Yeah. Yves Bissouma, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I was delighted with Bissouma's performance on the most part yesterday. Just not because it's the best Bissouma display we've seen, but it's just been a lot better than what we have been seeing in previous weeks, especially after those 2 sending offs and that mistake at Man City. I think this is his best display since then, to be honest. And I think defensively, nothing got past him. I thought he was so dominating in the middle of the park. And as well, in the second half, he grew with confidence. You saw that confidence grow in him, and he started to drive with the ball and be that driving force that we know he can be, which we've been missing from him for so long now. So hopefully he can grow on that performance.
Yeah, I thought he looked more confident, taking a few more risks with his passing as well, which is very important when you want to, break down a very stubborn team like Palace, that you have someone more willing to, commit a bit of risk to the play and risk drawing them out to kind of hit them in behind. And I think he was doing that a bit more with his passing, which was positive. I thought obviously defensively very, very strong, as he usually is. And there was definitely a step in the right direction with Bissouma. It's still not his very best, but definitely a better display than recently.
Rodrigo Bentancur up next, 6s all round from him. It was better, but still not great from Rodrigo Bentancur, definitely by his high standards that he has set himself since joining Tottenham Hotspur. I did think in the second half, there was a few flashes of the brilliance that we know that Bentancur can bring, but they were a bit few and far between. And I think at the end of the day, it was a bit lackluster from Bentancur, but I think it still was a step in the right direction. Gave the free kick away that did set Palace off on the way to go 1-0 up. But I guess it was positive because it was better than what we have seen in previous weeks.
Yeah, but even, Bentancur himself, you can see he wasn't happy with his own performance. Looked a bit despondent when he went off the pitch and looked really unhappy. So I do feel for him that maybe he just feels like he can't do right at the moment what he used to do, or definitely at the standard that he used to do, which is a real shame, to be honest. But it definitely wasn't a terrible display by any means. He wasn't, maybe that liability we've seen past few weeks where he was giving the ball away in some silly positions and putting Spurs under pressure. Definitely not on that standard. Still not the the very best, but he seems to be growing. And hopefully, the more game time he can have, the better he'll become. But he's still not quite there yet.
Yeah. And in terms of James Maddison, 7s all round for Madders. Again, another step in the right direction for Maddison. I felt like he was so aggressive. He was winning the ball back time and time again, winning duels. And that assist he had was absolutely brilliant. Over the top, looped pass straight into the path of Romero, who obviously slotted it home. And I think Maddison was the one dictating the tempo of the play. He was the one trying to pick the lock, and I think he finally did that. So credit to him.
Yeah, really, really good from Madders. I think I, for one, think he's been pretty decent since he's come back from injury. I don't think he's put in any bad displays per se, apart from maybe the Wolves game. I don't think he's been bad, but obviously when he set such a high standard as he did in those first 10 games, he hasn't quite, again, hit that kind of height. But I thought it was a really great assist for our second goal, for Romero's goal. Brilliant lobbed cross into him, and had to be pinpoint that, because that would have been very easy to misjudge. And I thought he was buzzing around so much. He was getting on the ball. He was causing Palace problems. Again, as I say with Maddison quite a bit, we know just how effective he can be, when getting shots in front of goal and taking, and his finishing ability is so good. So when he doesn't get himself into enough shooting positions, I always feel like, come on, you've got such a great shot, you've got to be getting into more positions where you're making use of that. So that's one of the things, again, I would say about him in this game. But I thought it's no surprise that he was the one who found the winner. Found a bit of magic to get us in the lead. Yeah,
it was always going to come from him, and I love the way that he just drops deep and does things that you don't associate with a Maddison to do, where he wins every duel he pretty much goes into, and he's a very aggressive player, which we need in those areas of the pitch. Next up is Timo Werner, 8s all round for Timo, best display in a Spurs shirt. First half, I think the whole of the Spurs stadium were very frustrated with him. He goes through on goal, one-on-one from the halfway line, tries to take it past the keeper and just fluffs his lines a little bit. But in the first half, I did feel like he was probably the attacker that was going to make something happen out of everyone. He saw a lot of the ball on that left-hand side. He was trying to attack the spaces just with little quality. But that changed massively in the second half, where he was attacking those spaces, but with quality. He was beating his man. He was getting good crosses in the box. He got his first goal for Tottenham. So you got to give him credit. Hopefully we see more of the same of what we saw in that second half.
Yeah, I would say this was definitely the performance where he's been most involved. Even games where he's maybe got assists for us previously, it's kind of been in moments of the game, and not maybe a proper performance where he's really involved in all our attacking play. And I thought he definitely was in this game. Even obviously he had our best chance in the first half where he went for on goal, and that's also what he can bring with that pace he has in behind. If you what I like about Werner, what difference between him and say someone like Brennan Johnson, he likes that ball in behind, likes to run onto it, and he has that pace to get away from defenders. Obviously his finishing still needs a lot to be desired, but that kind of chance that we got from that transition, maybe doesn't happen if Werner was on the pitch. So he can bring that to us, and I thought he was very much a threat. But still quite frustrating that first half. But as you say, second half really came into his own. Muniz really struggled to deal with him on that right hand side. He was getting to the byline time and time again. He set up a chance for Brennan Johnson. He had another chance that flashed across the face of goal, which no one was arriving at the back post to slot in. He then had a shot saved by Sam Johnston, which was parried away, and then obviously he got his goal at the back post himself, which was really important for a player like him to be arriving at the back post from across from Johnson. That's exactly what Ange wants from his wingers, and he played it to perfection. So really, really positive display, and I really hope he carries on this kind of form going into the next game.
It was just a nice step in the right direction to see him get some shots on target. Was it his first shots on target in his Spurs shirt yesterday?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And 2 in the same game. So big up to Timo. Next up is Dejan Kulusevski. We've got conflicting ratings here. Sim's given an 8. I've given a 6. And I think for the first hour, I was very frustrated with Dejan Kulusevski. I don't think he was impacting the play too much. I think when you're trying to break down a stubborn Crystal Palace side, you need Decky's creativity to really try and do that. And I think he failed to do it for the most part. But I do feel like that he improved once he moved into the middle and Brennan Johnson moved out to the right. We saw a couple of chances coming from him. I think it was 2 key passes on the day. But I still was a bit frustrated with Decky.
I thought he played pretty well, especially in that second half. I thought, especially before we scored, it looked like if we were going to create something, it was looking like it was going to come from Decky. Obviously, he set up a really good pass for Heung-min to hit the post, and he also set up the chance which led to Werner forcing his head out of Johnson as well. So he was starting to really influence the game, did move into the centre, and I thought, him linking up with Maddison was really positive as well. I thought he had a pretty strong second half showing, to be honest, Decky. Obviously, first half was a bit anonymous like most of our team, but I was pretty happy with his second half performance, so I gave him an 8.
Wow. I think an 8 is a bit of a stretch for Kulu yesterday. I really do.
Maybe a 7. Maybe a 7 would be fair. I think it was better than a 6.
Moving on to Heung-min Son. 8 all round for Sonny boy. Lovely pass in the first half, wasn't it, to set Timo Werner on his way. And that's all we really saw from him in the first half, to be honest. But second half, I felt he really came alive. His movement was absolutely top notch. Got the goal as well, showed Timo Werner how to do it. And I thought it was just a really, really strong display in the second half. And he was just like doing that captain's example, wasn't he? Just leading by example and spurring the team on to go and win the game. I
thought it was really great to see him back in the number 9 position. As I say, I do think right now that is his best position on the football pitch when I look at Sonny, and I think he played it a pretty good game. That pass for Werner to play him in one-on-one was brilliant on his left foot, first time sweeping pass right into his path, and that could have created a chance. Obviously he did create a chance, could have created a goal. Obviously he hit the post in that first half as well with a really great finish in the second half, with a really great side foot first time finish, which was inches away from making it 1-1. He then set up another chance, I think it was for Timo Werner, and obviously ended up getting his goal, which was not easy. You're running through, you got a lot of time to think about it, but Son, the composure he has, he's always going to slot it home, and he did it so confidently and so accomplishly. It was a really, really great finish, and I think it capped off what was actually a really great display from Heung-min Son back in the striker position, so very happy with him.
The only sub we're going to rate is Brennan Johnson. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. And I thought the game completely changed when he came on, which is massive credit to Brennan, massive credit to Ange as well for the way he changed it. He just started attacking those spaces like Kulusevski wasn't doing for pretty much the majority of the game. He completely rinsed Joachim Andersen and then the next defender as well, which I thought he got a bit of luck with. But he got the ball at the end of it to match, which was a lovely ball to the back post. Got another assist as well, where it was actually an underrated pass for that goal. So Brennan Johnson, 2 assists coming on for the last half an hour. I think you can't really ask for much more, to be honest. And 6 assists in his Spurs career so far this season, which is the same as someone like Martin Odegaard, who's considered as a serial assister.
Yeah, and he's showing being very adept to coming off the bench, doesn't he? Being a super sub does seem to impact games a lot better when he does play that kind of role. And obviously, if it wasn't for him tackling Anderson, chasing that lost ball, taking it around him, and then obviously getting that assist, I don't even know if he would have scored, if that moment didn't happen. So he has to get so much credit for forcing the issue and dragging us level in that game at such an important moment, because look, at that point, as whatever you want to say about our dominance, Palace, had kept us at bay, and we didn't look like we were going to score until that happened. So massive credit to Brennan. I thought he came on and really impacted the game and showed his worth. And as you say, those goal contributions are starting to get a bit more regular. And 3 goals and 6 assists, that's not terrible numbers. It really isn't for a player of his age at this stage of the season. So let's hope he can build on some of this momentum he has. But I do wonder whether Ange will start considering him a super sub now, or whether he'll start some more games.
Yeah, I do still feel like I would start Kulusevski in the next. But having said that, against the high line of Aston Villa, it could be a massive threat to have Brennan Johnson on from the start. But the only thing is that Brennan, whenever he starts the game, he always puts in lackluster displays. So he needs to find out a way how to impact games when he is starting, because I've failed to see that just yet.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on, finishing off with Ange Postecoglou. Seb gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. And on hindsight, Sim said it before the game, but hindsight, I feel like, he probably should have gone with the 2 attacking players in the middle of the park, and maybe a Kulusevski and a Maddison together, or maybe even a Lo Celso and a Maddison, and stick Kulusevski out wide like he did. But I can see the value as well, giving Bentancur more minutes in the legs because he definitely needs it. You can see he needs it. So I can see both sides of the argument. We did fail to really hurt them in the first half and the early stages of the second half. And then once Ange did change it and bring Brennan on, he made the changes to impact the game and to change the game and to get us the 3 points. So I think it was much better in terms of Spurs display, much more dominating. I think, was it in the late 70s% of possession? It was complete control. So you've got to give Ange credit for that. But we just got to figure out a way how to score in the first half, essentially, because we haven't done that in so long.
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a strange one, and I'm not sure why. I don't know whether maybe since Bournemouth we've been playing a lot of teams who do play five at the back and are defensive in that sense and like to counter-attack us, like in general, or it's just a case of we're just not on our game right now, or is it game state? Maddison was saying, after the game, how these teams do, the reason we get so many late goals is because these teams always try and block us and try and stifle us, and they can only do it for so long, when at the end we do tend to break them down late on, and it's very tiring for them to keep it up. So maybe that's just part of it. They can stifle us only for so long, and then the way we play football eventually breaks that door down. But I think obviously again, and second half, another improvement, which goes to show to me that whatever he's saying to them at half time, he usually does get them going again, and he does have an impact. And also his substitutions, I've criticised him in previous weeks where his substitutions were negatively impacted the game. For example, the Brighton game where we just got with some momentum, and then he makes a triple substitution, and that momentum kind of got.
It's funny
out.
Though, that Brighton game, because yes, you're right in what you're saying, they didn't negatively impact the course of the game, but then the subs combined to score the goals.
It's also true. But Johnson came on at the perfect time and impacted the game really positively. Ended up getting us over the line with the win with him making an impact. So I thought the subs did well. I thought we played well. We controlled the game. It was a lot more controlled than we've seen in previous weeks. So pretty happy with him. But yeah, as you say, I do wonder whether in the future in these kind of games where we know we're going to come up against a team that's just going to look to stifle us, it might be worth in these kind of games starting with an extra attacking midfielder, and instead of always, it seems as though the pattern in these games are we struggle to break the team down, and then in the 60th minute we bring on Brennan Johnson and put Kulu in the centre and have two attacking midfielders, and all of a sudden we look a lot more creative, and all of a sudden we look like we're going to break that door down. So maybe I'd like to see Ange maybe in the future, instead of going to that kind of thing for a last resort, maybe start with it in these kind of games and see how it goes from there. But look, great win, and did manage the game really well in the end. And in terms of what you're talking about, starting the game like that, our next home game is Luton, so it could be the perfect opportunity to do that. I would say so. But that is our player ratings. Let us know if you agree in the comment section. Let us know your ratings in the comments as well.